Well, at that time, Hartford had just come out of a fairly strong sequence. The year before I had them, they went to the final in D2, but a lot of them graduated away. In my first year as a coach, we had one freshman who came, and he was good, Joey Wood. He ended up going up and playing in Norwich and did a lot of their face-offs, but he was my sole freshman. So we had a total of 33 kids. We had a varsity and a JV program, and we were playing at that time there were only two divisions, so we played. It was interesting. One of the first things that we did is we made it a lot of fun. We made it an attractive program to be in. It was a pretty wild program when I came. I had coached against them for 6 years prior as the Woodstock coach, so I knew them pretty well. And they were wild. It was like spring for the football players, you know, good athletes, but they were going to do what they wanted to do. Difficult crew to coach. So when I came in, I worked them very, very hard physically. Any language, anything of that nature at all, and people did barn dogs. We created a bunch of awards that were new, you know, like the Barn Dog Award. So we just constructed a program that people who were athletes wanted to come back to and play in. So we started drawing good athletes into the program. And it gradually became the sport that was the most fun to play. And that helped a lot. And during that time, the youth program picked up. I don't think it had that much to do with what I was doing. There were two parents that really, really took it on, Chris and his wife. And so as the program became more fun, as we became more competitive, with the better teams, we started to get more freshmen involved, and it just, you know, we went from 33 to 37 to 39 to low 40s for 2 or 3 years, and the last 3 years that I coached, 2 years before I coached, before Grant came in, we were up around mid-40s for a program, and we were getting good athletes. So youth program's a big difference. Well, I found out about Grant from Mr. Marino. I'd never met him, and he told me a little bit about him, and I got very excited for about, well, I guess as a coach, I guess I'm probably no different than any other. I had been looking for, you know, I'm 66 years old, so I've been looking for who's going to take on a program that I'd become very attached to and cared a lot about, that could at least step in and maintain what we had, right? So when I heard Grant was here, I was like blown away. You know, I've worked with D1 athletes, I know what they're like. But then I found out he's working in the middle school with challenging students. I'm like, what is this? And then I find out he married a Hartford graduate and they're gonna have a child. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm all excited. We were in the fall he came, we were 2 weeks into the soccer program, and we were over in the workout facility, and I looked in the corner and I said, man, that's Grant Wood. But we met in January, Grant and I did, and I went, wow, man. And I find out, you know, he's been working camps and coaching since he was probably, well, he's been in camp since he's been an elementary kid, coaching and working in camps since he was probably 14 years old. His father's one of the best D coaches in Massachusetts, who's a Division I long pole. And this guy knows what he's talking about. He had just come up from coaching a season 2 seasons with a very high quality team in Massachusetts, and as the offensive coordinator. And so as we began to talk, I said, Grant, let's just take it. I'll do all this stuff, I'll do the uniforms, I'll do the scut work, so to speak, which is important, but that's what it is. And install, do what you're gonna do. And I said, but you've got to get adopted by the guys. This is a hard town to get adopted in. I know, I grew up in a rural white environment. It's not like they go, oh, hey, I'm really excited, this new person. No. And I worked on the reservation, which was even harder. But as it turned out, he fit in right away. He's got a sense about him that's quite incredible. Both, he's very human, but boy, when he's not kidding around. He treats you guys as if you're a Division I program. You couldn't give me a bigger gift to give to Nick Porter and Reese Thompson than him, to be honest. Because there's no way I could have done what he's done with this team. So it's been a pleasure to get out of the way and let him roll. Absolutely. So that's how I feel about Grant and how he came in. I'm excited. And I'm excited for you guys because you're getting the best. You're probably getting the best high school coaching available in the country here in Little Hartford. Give me a break. Who wouldn't want that for you? And he's not everybody's gonna love Grant, and not everybody's gonna even like him so much, but man, you gotta respect him. He's not kidding. He's the real deal. Plus, he cares about you. He really, really cares. He cares about the game today a lot. He's invested. This guy's watching film 2 or 3 hours. And he sees on film what I can't, and he breaks it down in ways that I cannot. So as an athlete, I would have died to have had him for a coach. As a coach, and it wouldn't have mattered if I were a 4th-year coach, I would have turned the program over to him. There's no way I'm standing between that kind of an exceptional capacity. And ever since I started coaching here, the best players always played. Always. It's always been it. We took all the politics out of it. That's one thing we did change right away. Now, what would it be like if I didn't let the best coach and tell you that the best player plays? How inauthentic would that have been? No. I'd never stand in the way of that. So I'm excited. So, it's all good stuff, but it's come a million miles. It's unreal. The people during those first 7 years that stuck it out and played, we would have a varsity game down at Kilowatt Field, right, with no locker room, no nothing. If there were lightning, we had to run off the field. We had nowhere to go. Or up at Anaquicci School, where they'd get dressed in the cemetery and then come up the hill. I parked in the cemetery to get the water close enough that we didn't have to drag it 200 yards. And when they warmed up, the JV team warmed up, we had so many of the JVs playing varsity, there'd be like 5 guys, scraggly guys running around the field, and that was the JV warm-up. Now look, you've got, what are we taking, 35 guys now that are working with the varsity? I mean, only probably 20 are active, but they're there, and they're ready to go. So, we have locker rooms. Give me a break. We didn't have our locker rooms. We never played up here. They wouldn't let us on a football field if you paid them. Mr. Marino's the reason we got the football field. Mr. Marino's the reason we're playing out here. So you combine Mr. Marino, Grant Whiteway, a program that was dying to grow. And I had a part in that. I mean, I do make things fun. And I love working with you guys. And I love the sport. But you combine that kind of talent with that kind of desire and your kind of athletes. And I'll tell you what, if you play the systems that you know and you just do the simple things well, you'll steamroll people. But it's still an emotional game, and it's easy to forget everything. To see this come to this point it's a lot of fun. If I walk out at the say kickoff, fall over, whatever happens to me, this program's going to continue to thrive, and that's what you want. You want to build something that lasts, not something that's about you. It's never about the coach anyway. It's about the athletes, period. It's for you. What do you get out of it? What do you learn? There are hard lessons out there. And I know you both fairly well, so I know you've been through a lot of hard lessons on the lacrosse field, right? But where else would you have gotten those? I mean, how many times have you thought about, man, I'm just going to quit. I just can't do this anymore. And you kept going and decided to, you know. And that's not easy. That's a hard thing. Because you got to get over an emotional hurdle, and you got to get over all kinds of stuff. And this program took a leap. So the expectations increased. And we're practicing on Sunday mornings. Give me a freaking break. I couldn't have got guys here on a weekend if you paid them $100 each, you know. And now, not so much. So, you guys are part of something that is quite incredible. And everybody in the state knows it. But it's about you. It's not about Grant. It certainly isn't about me. It's about the athletes. What can we give you to help you become the very best you can be as a person